Hey everyone, I'm Case Aiken. Now last time I talked about Laurel Kent, the post-crisis solution to the problem of Supergirl having been erased from continuity. Now while she fills the role of Supergirl, she also is a callback to a different Legionnaire, Laurel Kent, the descendant of Superman. So here's the basic story. Laurel was created by Jim Shooter as a future descendant of Superman, but being 1,000 years removed from her powerful progenitor, she only inherited the Kryptonian nigh-invulnerability, and otherwise was just a regular human. All things considered, however, this was a pretty great power to retain, especially since she didn't have the numbness aspect that we've seen with purely invulnerable beings, like in the League of Supermen from DC's Legends of Dead Earth. And being invulnerable meant she didn't need to hold back for fear of injury, so she could strike as hard as she wanted and not break her hand. Also, this was the Legion of Superheroes after all, so she got a flight ring and thus had that part covered too. When she was first introduced, she used a pseudonym to conceal her identity when she met Superboy, Elna, a scrambling of Lane since she was also the descendant of Lois Lane as well. Superboy was smitten with her until he discovered that she was actually his descendant, and that the reason why he found himself so attracted to her was that she looked like the woman he'd eventually fall in love with. Now, I should note that Laurel was never a full member of the Legion of Superheroes. She was a trainee, but due to the incredibly lame rule that the Legion had back in the day, that every member was required to have a unique superpower, she was never allowed to become a full member. There are many Legionnaires who are invulnerable after all, and her form of invulnerability wasn't even particularly unique, as she shared the Kryptonian weakness to kryptonite and magic. One thing I really liked about the character was that her powers influenced her personality. Being effectively invulnerable meant that she didn't feel the need to wear heavy clothes to protect herself from the elements. Her normal attire was basically just a bikini, and her most recognizable look was her wearing a poncho with a Superman symbol on it over said bikini. After the crisis, it took a minute to settle on how things would affect the Legion. Pocket Universe Superboy. So Laurel remained on the team until they decided to clean house. As a tie-in to the Millennium event from the late 80s, DC retconned the character as an imposter, revealing her to be one of the robotic Manhunters. This weirdly makes her also kind of connected to the Green Lanterns. I did not like this retcon, and many writers have since ignored it. Then, during the 5-year gap era for the Legion, time was rewritten to place a higher emphasis on Largand/Valor/Mon-El instead of Superboy. Laurel was merged with Supergirl and envisioned as a descendant of Largand, thus creating Laurel Kent, though the character does resemble more Supergirl than Laurel Kent. But since then, the character has popped up as an Easter egg in future presentations of the family tree of the House of El. This has led some to speculate that the Manhunter incarnation of Laurel was merely impersonating the real character. But some of those future versions of Laurel seem to have all of the Superman powers, so I think it's best just not to think about it too much. Laurel Kent was a really interesting take on the lineage aspect of the Legion of Superheroes. She didn't get special treatment because of her heritage, and while she was often sad that she would never be a full member, she was a steadfast friend to all of the recruits. Considering that she was initially created to have a really messed up flirtatious relationship with Superboy, it's cool to see that she went on to be the exhibitionist friend of all the Legionnaires. And for me, the Legion is best when it's a soap opera blended with high-stakes superheroics and science fiction. So I'm glad we got to have an interesting character who could be their emotional support and wouldn't get hurt in the process. Though she could also deliver some tough love. And honestly, what's tougher than Laurel Kent, the invulnerable girl of tomorrow? Next time, we're going to be continuing with characters from Legion of Superheroes who could stand in for Superman, with Dev-Im, the Knave of Krypton. But until then, stay super, man. And hey, I want to thank everyone who stayed to the end of the video for watching. Please do all the YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, etc. I've really appreciated how the channel has grown and would love to see it continue to do so. So thank you for everything. After you've done that, head on over to certainpov.com, where you can find the podcast that goes along with this video, as well as a ton of great shows, so check those out. And there you can find a link to our Discord server, where you can come and interact directly. I've got sneak peeks for upcoming shows that I'm working on. We've got a great community there. Would love to have you. But, thank you and have a great week.